supportive of others. For example, check in by phone on neighbors or people in your community who may need extra assistance. Working together as one community can help to create solidarity in addressing COVID-19. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311 Psychosocial Support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
I can't stay.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. It is Friday, April 16th, 2021. Yeah, it's Friday. And I don't know why I'm excited about Friday, especially when I know we have to be in by 9. But, I don't know. It's one of those things. But anyway, I'm very, very happy if you're here with us, going into your weekend, spending your morning with us. Very much appreciated. If you are listening to us on our radio partner station, that is Hits FM 92.1 and 91.1, good morning to you. Also, if you are watching us on television on channel 124, that's on Flow, UTV, Underground Television, welcome to the show. And we can never forget where you guys are. If you are on any of the social media platforms where we're streaming at this moment, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, and of course where the Roro resides on Facebook, good morning to you. I also want to say good morning and happy birthday to Miss Eldora. I know you as Miss Maureen. Miss Maureen. Happy birthday. That's coming from your beautiful children, including Petal, my bestest friend, and Sister Gigil. I know you guys are watching. I hope you had a great birthday yesterday. It was good seeing you as well. And I wish you, of course, many, many more. So, where do we start? I think as we understand it and how the show is, we're talking with a sort of sincerity and honesty as we do every single day. And what is more honest than calling people out on their lies? And I think we've done this in the show where we have to demurti a lot of the things that are being said, especially by the Prime Minister. Sad but true that for a lot of my show, and it's not enough time to delve into all the untruths and all the lies and everything. But I see Ernest Hilaire is helping me and saying it straight to the Prime Minister's face. Let's take a look.
Mr. Speaker, no indictment of the Prime Minister can take place without focusing on his penchant to tell tales. Shameless, bold-faced, and unrepentant. In the interest of time, Mr. Speaker, I ask you to consider my favorite top 10 tales told by the Prime Minister. 1. At the 12th June 2016 UWP Victory Rally, the Prime Minister would flash a piece of paper and declare that his first order of business is to sign this memo, and I quote, "When I sign is that the gas prices will now be coming back down for you, the people of this country." The truth, Mr. Speaker, gas went up on that occasion and has never come down. 2. In an interview with the Nation newspaper in Barbados on 11th July 2016, the Prime Minister said the U.S. had deported 800 people to St. Lucia. He was asked by the reporter in disbelief, 800? He said, correct. The truth? So disturbed was the U.S. government that the U.S. Embassy released a press statement on 4th July 2016 indicating that the total number of deportees returning to St. Lucia in the last 5 years was less than 100. In 2015, there were only 8 such cases. Number 3, the Prime Minister says that he had never met Theo Akin before July 2016. The truth? He had photos posted on his Facebook page on June 13th with Theo Akin. Number 4,
Mr. Speaker, again, if we're going to tell stories and we want to be truthful, this is a very serious matter. I only met Tioa King for the first time in my life in June of 2016, and I would challenge the member on the other side to show any picture with me with Joe Akeem in 2015. So I would like him to withdraw that erroneous statement.
Can I repeat what I said, Mr. Speaker?
What? So wrong, you shall.
The Prime Minister said that he had never met Tioa King before July 2016. Exactly. The truth, he had photos posted on his Facebook page on June 13, 2016 with Tioa King. That's what I said. That's what I said? Remember the grenade and the gas price with JJ?
Honorable member.
Number 4, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister would announce at the September 19, 2016 press conference that we have over 4,000 case backlog. The truth, the Chief Justice at the opening of the law year would declare that, and I quote, our current data shows over 1,000 in criminal cases still pending. That was the Chief Justice. Who do we listen to? Number 5, on 7 December 2016, the Prime Minister, whilst a guest on 21 questions, stated emphatically that there was no confidentiality clause in the DSH framework agreement. The truth? Clause 19 of the agreement is a confidentiality clause. 6. On November 22nd, 2018, the Prime Minister, in an interview outside of Parliament, in response to an interviewer question about $1.5 billion or so which he had announced for investment in St. Lucia, the Prime Minister would reply, I have never said so. The truth? On November 26, 2017, on Rick Wynn's show, the Prime Minister indicated that he had already committed $1.2 billion in investment for St. Lucia and that the projects would have started in January 2018, 1 year ago. Number 7, in August 2018, speaking on the proposed Border Control Agency, the Prime Minister would state that he had no knowledge where the idea of a statutory body came from. The truth? A government press release on 14 September 2018 stated that Cabinet with immediate effect was revoking Cabinet Conclusion 247 of 16 April 2018, which had stated that the Border Control Agency would have been a statutory body. Number 8, in Parliament on 14 February 2018, the Prime Minister said that he had never seen one plan that proposed to connect a causeway to Maria Islands. The truth? Extensive coverage of the unveiling of Phase 2 of the DSH at Sandals Grand on 18 April 2017 showed the Prime Minister starring with Tioa King. Number 9, the Prime Minister informed, and I love this one, the Prime Minister informed this Parliament that it was the Labour Party that bought the abandoned Daher Mall in Wadawaj. He says truth. Can I play the clip? I don't know that. Okay. The truth. A news report, the Prime Minister says that's true, you know. A news report was carried by HTS on August 4th, 2009. Clearly states that Dr. Anthony was always against the purchase of the mall. The Prime Minister is quoted as saying, and I quote, Dr. Anthony is playing cheap politics by not supporting the purchase of the building. Furthermore, he says, government has a plan for paying the building, for the building to pay itself. That's what the Prime Minister said. Even here today, he's saying that it is true that it's Kenny Anthony that bought the mall. And number 10, let me tell you, this is very Trumpian in behavior. Number 10, the last one, because time is running out. During his New Year address for 2019, the Prime Minister stated that, and I quote, banana exports are at their highest in several years. The truth? A Winfresh press release of 14th December 2018, a couple of weeks before, stated the outlook for St. Lucia's bananas on the United Kingdom market does not look promising for 2019. Demands for St. Lucia by key customers in the UK have been significantly reduced from about 15,000 cases per week in 2018 to about 6,000 cases per week for 2019. Mr. Speaker, I put it to you. You want me to repeat it? I'll repeat it for you. During his address in January 2019, the Prime Minister said that the banana export at its highest in several years to the UK. Winfresh, in a release of 14th December 2018, stated demands for St. Lucia bananas from key customers in the UK have been significantly reduced from about 15,000 cases per week in 2018 to about 6,000 cases per week for 2019. This for so, Mr. Speaker, in January you're telling us our exports are at its highest in years, and yet Winfresh is saying it does not look promising. It is declining from 15,000 cases to 6,000 cases. And you're telling me that means an improvement. Mr. Speaker, I put it to you that the Prime Minister is guilty of repeatedly misleading the nation and Parliament, telling tales with no regard for his consequences. The people cannot trust his word or his intention. In closing, Mr. Speaker, I submit that politics, Mr. Speaker, is among the most vilified professions in the world, simply because many politicians fail to meet the expectations of the people who voted for them. All of us in this honorable House know only too well the demoralization we feel, especially when we are criticized for the expectations of our supporters, when we are criticized for the things we did not promise, but which people expect us to deliver anyway. Today, St. Lucians are angry with this Prime Minister because they expected him to deliver on certain basic promises he made. Si vous épilet, ça nous joigne, c'est sitôt équipement.
I don't know when you saw this. I know there are a lot more, and I expect you guys to help me with more of the Prime Minister's lies and what people had believed or anything. But during that presentation by Ernest Hilaire, I thought it interesting to see the Prime Minister stand up for only one of his lies and say something along the lines of, you know, that's not true. He never met Tewa King in 2015. Mind you, Ernest Hilaire did say 2016. But, I mean, when you have to think of that and you stand up just for that one, but for the other 9, for the other 9, you stay seated, everybody stays seated, everybody laughing and looking away. Doesn't it make you feel uncomfortable? There's the caller that says the word in a way that I like the way he says it. There's a sans honte that is in there, the shamelessness that is in there, your lies being echoed to you, being repeated to you in the House, and you see nothing more other to stand up for one of them. I guess when you cannot defend the indefensible, that's what you do, try to stand up for one of them and try to make a huge deal with one of the issues being raised. It's so shameless. And then I also wonder, you know, if you stand up for that you didn't know and you never met Tewa King before 2016, it also makes me wonder, is that how we're making investments? You came in June of 2016 and you're saying that you hadn't met him before then, and so it's okay to just give state resources to somebody that you only just met when you became Prime Minister. Is that what you're saying? Is what you're saying is that, you know, passports can be sold by a foreigner that you know nothing about, and even when you say that you've had your investigations into, you know, Tewa King, what does that really mean if you're going to, what, make a couple of phone calls to certain people, like, do you know that person? Was that person murdered? That's the investigations? Shouldn't this be some independent body doing a real background check, doing a real check on the people that we're saying are investors? The Prime Minister says things and or doesn't, and it really does show, you know, the sort of processes that we have here. You know, you're trying to defend yourself by saying, I just met the man, I didn't meet the man before, but it also says a lot when you're saying that. So I think that concerns me, and of course, like I said before, it's only 10. We have, I don't know whether we can get one of those people to, you know, count how many lies, and maybe we can just play all of them, and I don't know whether there are enough hours in the day for that. Maybe I have to go into another one. I don't know, but I'm looking for your assistance in helping me remember. you know, all the lies. And it's so mad. It's almost comical the way that we're being, you know, led by a leader who lies on a whim just for nothing. And that is being met with laughter. It's being met with laughter.
And number 10, let me tell you, this is very Trumpian.
And that also irritated me, angered me. When you lie to people of St. Lucia, it's being told to you, you're in the house and you just laugh. And I imagine you can laugh. I mean, why not laugh? Because you've already done what you've done. You've already conned people. You're already in and you're seeking to be re-elected. Why not laugh when you know there are people who will, no matter what, vote for the Prime Minister, even after all the lies? And when we say, you know, these failed promises, these aren't just words. These were words that people believed. People planted, people put in their resources, people did all sorts of things based on the word of the Prime Minister. And now you sit there 4 and 5 years later, laughing at us, laughing at the country with the lies that you're told to be put in that position. Listen, like I said, and like some callers, very wise callers have said before, this is going to show us, this election is going to show us who we are. We already understand, you know, what this government, for lack of a better word, I know some of the callers yesterday gave me other synonyms for that word, but you know what, we understand what they are. We understand who Gail Rigobert is. We understand who the Prime Minister is. We understand Guy Joseph. But it will remain that this election will show us who we are. And I come to, you know, ask myself question. What do people medical question? Because I have to wonder, why have we allowed this to happen and nobody said anything? And you can, you know, talk about the different analyses and, you know, what is it with St. Lucians that we can be disrespected at every turn and we're being laughed at and we're being lied to and we continue to take it? Why? Why is that?
Two high-profile political personalities revived intrigue in society's previously silent but still significant issue of colorism. So why should skin color matter in a society that's predominantly black in ethnicity? Well, NBC Prime sat down with a local psychiatrist to gain insight.
Former government minister Peter Josie ascended to St. Lucia's political plateau during the 1960s and 70s amid the culturally contentious Black Power movement. Decades into his retirement from elective politics, Josie, now a mouthpiece for the United Workers' Party, came under fire when he explained why a fair-skinned and half-white Alan Chasney is better suited to be Prime Minister.
Wherever Alan Chasney goes, he is known. He has the introduction by different governments, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks, and maybe even his little kulai.
Psychiatrist Dr. Julius Gillard suggests the ensuing criticism, inflamed by Josie's comments, may have been misguided.
So, is Peter Josie off, wrong, or inaccurate with that explanation?
So his views are inappropriate, but his views are correct.
The origin of Peter Josie's controversial colorism theory, Dr. Gillard suggests, is rooted in a time long before the birth of either of St. Lucia's two main political parties.
Skin color and features associated with white, such as the lighter skin, the straight nose, the long straight hair, and these things take on meanings that represent that persons believe that those persons are more civil, that they are more rational thinking, and that they are more beautiful than other persons. Those things are things that we inside of us, when we look at somebody who has a different skin tone or who has different facial features, we would feel those things.
Colorism has no less spilled into St. Lucia's political landscape.
Philippe Jepierre nom nou a 10 autres kaki, nom nou a 10 autres kaki, 6 autres vote bay, I pa kay sa mette manjon le tabzot.
Another vocal UWP associate, Shane Ring the Bell Ephraim, went further when he publicly explained why a dark-skinned Labour Party political leader would not get his vote.
Well, I mean, I cannot say that his comments are rational because they are totally irrational. However, he has his opinions and he has his views, and those are his views. So I do not believe that they represent the views of all St. Lucians. They may represent the views of some St. Lucians.
Philip J. Pierre's complexion, you could argue, is closer to Ephraim's own skin tone than that of Alan Chasney.
I'll use the famous phrase, I'm black and proud.
Skin color has seemingly widened an already deepening political divide in St. Lucia. 2021 is an election year, and how dark or light-skinned the tone of a prospective political candidate is could also be an unofficial ballot box item on polling day. A fact not lost on political leader Pierre.
Judge me on my competence, judge me on my experience, judge me on my integrity, judge me on my track record in the ministries I've held, judge me on the fact that I've presided over the construction of over 7 new hotels in St. Lucia, judge me on the fact that I've built 21 new bridges with absolutely no talk of corruption, judge me on that.
An effective way to root out colorism, according to Dr. Julius Gillard, is to confront it head-on with renewed interest and in public forums.
This issue with colorism, we have to become aware of it. So I'm hearing a lot of debate, persons saying this is foolishness, this is ignorance, that doesn't exist. And as far as I can see from what I remember growing up and being told that a certain bank or some banks used to hire only lighter colored persons to be tellers in the bank. I remember growing up and hearing all kinds of things about lighter colored persons, about black people, and even I myself have a personal connection to that because I had a relative who did not like her darker colored children and preferred her lighter colored children. So yes, so those things do exist in our society, and we have to lay them on the table. So we have to lay it bare, and I think debates like these are healthy.
The UWP has not publicly addressed Peter Josey's or Shane Ring-the-Bell Ephraim's utterances. It is important to note election candidates of all shades, both past and present, and from both political parties, have enjoyed victory at the polls. Historically, however, lighter-skinned political leaders have fared better at the polls when compared to their darker-toned opponents.
I don't know, y'all. We just have to have the conversation and, really understand ourselves as a people, with all of what Chasney has done and said, the words he cannot pronounce, the things we've seen in the budget address and in the past 4 years, the disrespect, all of it. And, there are people who will say it doesn't matter. Like, and Rihanna made me laugh, when he say, you could argue that Shane Ephraim, that is Ring-the-Bell, is of closer complexion to, the leader of the opposition. Rihanna, oh, come on, I could argue. The one black, if he, there's nothing, wrong with even saying the word, and I found that funny, because, I understand you're trying to be politically correct and do all that sort of stuff, but I think we have to have the conversations. And it is very, very serious when, again, I look back on when the Prime Minister is, he hears his own lies out there being recorded, and all he can do is laugh. He's laughing at us, and that to me continues to be disrespectful, and he will continue to lie. And some people, like the hacks, and I remember in one of the shows we had a thing about who is the most shameless hack, who's the most shameless UWP hack, and they will do anything, they will say anything for Chasney, and different people called with who they thought. Some people said Norbert, which I think is a good one too, Norbert, Minerva, Champagne. But for me, on my show, I believe that I will give the prize to none other than the same Shane Ephraim. Because when this man said he doesn't care about anything, listen, and I didn't want to put that clip either because I don't even want it to be out there. I know some young people are watching, that sort of thing. I don't want that out there. But just so we understand that there are people who, no matter what, Munsa, jiwe yo, kick yo, nebota yo, fe yo, clearly you will see these people, some of these people still voting for the same people who disrespect them, and he definitely is one of them. And I hark back to when I first met him a couple of months ago, and I remember then that he will do anything, even resort to violence against his own family members in the name of party.
People down the road awaiting us, so we need to go down the road.
You recording me, you don't see when they're not.
Yo, don't come in front of me, you know. Don't come in front of me, you know. Don't come in front of me.
You don't see when they're not me. You recording me, you don't see when they're not me. Don't come in front of me.
Where's the knife you had? Folks, this is the man who pulled a very long knife a while ago because the guys wanted.
I can't stay.
Earn extra income. Flexibility. Drive when you want to and how often you want to.
Robust and ever-changing safety features to protect drivers.
Convenient payout methods and the schedules.
Rewards for exceptional ratings and driving history.
The following is a paid political announcement.
On behalf of the community of Olemon Granny Dennery, we would like to say a heartfelt thank you to Senator Ferropolius for the work that she has commenced in our community. As a result of this, we now have access to quality roads and better drainage. We do appreciate it. We look forward to working with you in the future and wish you the best of luck in the next general election.
We shall ensure that the running of the OKU is not privatized and remains under the control and management of government and the people of St. Lucia. Universal access to healthcare remains a priority of a Labour government, and we shall continue to process we started since we were last in office to establish a universal healthcare system. We believe that accessible and affordable healthcare is the greatest priority of an SLP government. As part of our healthcare system, we shall encourage and support healthy lifestyles as a complementary health policy initiative, because too many of our citizens suffer from non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes.
The preceding was a paid political announcement.
Hi there, this is
exclusive
You're watching UTV TV for you.
I can't stay.
Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us. We've had the conversation before about Fortuna Belrose and the Bring Your Man to Work Day that she's leading the charge of. But it's interesting because now we are hearing from her leader, in all senses of the word, I guess. The Prime Minister has spoken out on that. So let's listen to what he has to say.
Prime Minister Alan Shastney is standing by Castries East hopeful Senator Fortuna Belrose in the wake of a controversial commentary on a UWP media platform. The remarks centered on the hire of the government minister's husband as her official driver and complaints about a perceived lack of inclusion and equality of treatment of the electorate in the Castries East constituency under the stewardship of the current dispensation. Senator Belrose cited the implications of the outcome of the previous general election for the level of attention and service accorded the constituency.
You talked about the Prime Minister and myself walked in the boulevard. I mentioned earlier that when you elect a government, you elect them on the basis of the policies and programs that they set out. The people of Castries East categorically chose to reject the United Workers' Party.
Just hold the line, caller. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm saying the people of Castries East chose categorically to reject the United Workers' Party at the last election. Yeah? 11 other constituencies said to the United Workers' Party, yes, we want to build a new St. Lucia with you, we are on the road with you, and we'll be working with you. And so the government sought to invest in those communities where they bought into the philosophy and thinking, you understand, of the government. It's very important that a community buys into the vision. When the Prime Minister came in, we just did a tour of the constituency. We made no promises. No promises at all were made. Because I'm a community worker and I understand when you raise people's expectations, the challenge it can pose for you.
These comments have elicited a visceral reaction from critics who have expressed alarm at what they characterize as political discrimination and victimization. Despite the backlash, Prime Minister Alan Shastney, speaking to the assembled press outside Parliament ahead of the start of debate on the appropriation bill, endorsed the minister's take on the state of play in Castries East, blaming the incumbent instead for the woes of the underserved constituency.
I want to say that, I'm very proud of Ms. Rose, and coming from a background of being an athlete as well. And so I know of no athlete that ever goes onto the field to lose. And so I know that she has put her heart and soul into this campaign. She came in very late in the game last elections, and unlike a lot of other people, has not disappeared. And she's stayed on the ground and very focused on it. So I think that Ms. St. Rose and all those persons who know her to be a very genuine person. and therefore any comments that she would make would always come from a good place. I think that she's dealing with what some of the realities are. Is when your government is in office, but you are not elected in a constituency, technically you don't have any position. The only position you have is as the candidate for the party. And so therefore she has done certain things, but certainly, as she's rightfully said, the bulk of the responsibility remains on the elected person in that office.
Amid concerns about the impact of political victimization and subtle divisive rhetoric in fomenting the extreme partisanship of civic culture, the Prime Minister again singled out the leader of the opposition and his record as the duly elected parliamentary representative for Castries East.
So how do you respond to the criticism that this speaks to like institutionalized victimization?
I don't. I mean, I think that the people in Castries South and Castries East have been victimized for almost 5 terms. When you go there and you see the state of the place, that there's been no innovation, no new ideas. As somebody in the House indicated, that Marcia by now should be a city within a city. And it's an indictment. I mean, Philip here has been the self-proclaimed deputy Prime Minister for 3 terms. He has had the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Commerce, and certainly for a person like him to have been in that position and for it to be in the condition it is a greater indictment against him than is against her, who has never served the people in that constituency as yet. But I genuinely believe that change is coming.
The Culture Minister has been pillared by critics who continue to warn against merely appealing to the base in the politics of zero-sum game and the alienation of a segment of the electorate based on the exercise of their franchise and political affiliation. The ex-senior public servant will attempt to unseat the 5th-term Castries East MP Philip J. Pierre in the upcoming 2021 general election. Winston Springer Jr., HTS News Force.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister of Finance has offered us his philosophy on leadership. And this is what the great leader said at page 33 of his statement. And I'm going to turn, Mr. Speaker, to page 33. These are his words. Mr. Speaker, in times of crisis, leadership matters. It is about being decisive yet adaptable. It is about being able to make quick, hard but calculated decisions. It is about projecting determination, focus and optimism, not fear and doubt. It is not about beating our chests. It is about rolling up our sleeves as a country, not beating down on ourselves. From the onset of this crisis, Mr. Speaker, this government has taken its leadership role seriously. End of quote. That, Mr. Speaker, is the philosophy of the Minister of Finance, is his view of leadership. But not, Mr. Speaker, in that statement, not a word, a single word on the value of caring, the necessity for compassion, the need for humility, commitment to equality of treatment, rejection of discrimination in all of its manifestations. Not a word on these matters in his concept of leadership. It is my view, Mr. Speaker, that a leader must also guide, counsel, praise, and also have the courage to rebuke. So when Senator Belrose, a former permanent secretary, mind you, Mr. Speaker, appointed to that post during the tenure of the Labour administration, uttered her now famous Belrose doctrine, she should have been rebuked. Hear her words for yourself, Mr. Speaker. Quote, when you elect a government, you elect them on the basis of the policies and programs that they set out. The people of Castries East chose categorically to reject the United Workers' Party at the last election. Yeah. 11 other constituencies said to the United Workers' Party, yes, we want to build a new St. Lucia with you. We are on the road with you, and we will be working with you so the government sought to invest in those communities where they bought into the philosophy and thinking, you understand, of the government. It's very important that the community buys into the vision, unquote. Those words, Mr. Speaker, will go down in history. So, Mr. Speaker, to paraphrase, according to the Belrose Doctrine, if you do not elect the United Workers' Party, if you do not buy into the vision, then you are dead. And the member for Castries East has been the victim, indeed, all opposition parliamentarians. The Belrose Doctrine did not surprise me, Mr. Speaker. It confirmed that the SLP, what the SLP has said all along. And I too have suffered in my own constituency in Beaufort South. But I'll come to that in a few minutes. But what was particularly sad was to hear Ricky Alexander, a former youth leader, discarding his mask and years of pretense, justifying the Belrose Doctrine. No wonder young people have become so cynical. Those words were never disowned by the member for Miku South. Senator Belrose was never rebuked. It takes courage to rebuke and disown a minister. I remember once publicly rebuking my beloved friend Calix George, then Minister of Infrastructure, for something he did at that ministry. Even with the rebuke, our friendship has stood the test of time. And I see the member for Castries North looking at me, and I take it that he understands and remembers precisely to what I refer. It is too much to expect the member from Miku North, the Minister of Finance, to disown the Belrose Doctrine. He lacks the moral courage. But it is more than that. It is at the heart of his approach to governance, as I shall demonstrate later in my presentation. And Mr. Speaker, the question I set at the commencement, I now answer. Why is it that the minister could not rebuke Fortuna Belrose for her infamous statements and for the Belrose Doctrine? He could not rebuke Senator Belrose because without a doubt, he is a practitioner and cultivator of the Belrose Doctrine. I end my case, Mr. Speaker. The Emperor has no clothes. I thank you very, very much.
We open the lines now at 572-7588. You could also call on WhatsApp at 484-7588. I don't think I need to say anything more after that. I do think that it's exactly that you know, you need courage to not just to rebuke a minister, but to rebuke anyone, to say, you know, when something is wrong and you not stand by something. It takes courage to do that. You don't have to be the prime minister. It is for everybody. And I understand that it takes courage to do these things. And clearly, you know, it also says too that the prime minister cannot rebuke St. Rose. The prime minister called Belrose St. Rose. Cannot rebuke Belrose because, you know what, that's the party, that's what they're doing. They're leading, you know, that's the doctrine, the Belrose Doctrine, which I like the sound of that, by the way, Dr. Anthony. You know, it's coming down to that's what they know. The prime minister himself, that's what they believe in. Let's take the call. Good morning.
Good morning, Tresha.
Hi.
Tresha, let's talk a little bit about this color thing.
Okay.
Tresha, decades into the 21st century, we're still talking about this stuff about people with lighter skin and people who are chocolate colored and people who are of a darker hue and people, you know, who are shabby or who are light skinned and all this kind of stuff. Tresha, but here's the real dichotomy here. Oh, let me break it down. Here's the puzzle.
Dichotomy.
Here's the puzzle here. On the one hand, the United Workers' Party surrogates, some ministers in the United Workers' Party, especially Guy Joseph, will say about Labour Party people, oh, they were playing the race card. They were playing the race card. You know, they were talking about the Prime Minister saying, white man, white man. But along comes Peter Josie and Alan Chastney's father on a UWP talk show and speaks about the Prime Minister's color as being what the Labour Party people are jealous of. And this is what is going to get him re-elected. I mean, those were the same people who were talking about, you know, race card, race card. But they were now talking about the Prime Minister's color as being some disease. Now, Tresha, I don't know whether the Prime Minister thinks of his color as being one of the advantages that he holds in terms of re-election. Possibly it is. Possibly he thinks that way. I can't tell you for sure. What I know for sure is that the Prime Minister has said that he is a product of Canada. What, and not a product of St. Lucia. What I know for sure is that the Prime Minister, by his actions, it seems to me, doesn't give a fig past our present and our future.
Okay.
The Prime Minister, it seems to me, doesn't give a fig about our culture, our patrimony, our resources by his actions. Because he's demolishing things, he's breaking down things, he's selling, he's giving away our resources, and all that kind of stuff. So, look, again, does the Prime Minister think of himself in the way that Peter Josie and his father are thinking of him? Again, possibly, we don't know. But by his actions, it would seem, his actions suggest that there may be some truth to what Peter Josie and his father said on Champagne's show some time ago. But to end it all, Tresha, Tresha, I still think, you know, I've been saying, boy, decades into the 21st century, there are still people who think that way, but I still think that we need a certain amount of education in terms of how we nurture our children, how we culture our children, how we look at each other. I mean, our history is replete. I mean, look at one of our Nobel laureates. In fact, both of our Nobel laureates. I mean, if we have to be talking about skin color, like, you know, a lighter skin color has all kinds of advantages. I remember Martin Luther King in one of his speeches, Martin Luther King, that so many of us like to talk about. You know, people should not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And, you know, some of us are still talking about our skin color. We come from a predominantly African heritage. Tresha, thanks very much.
Thank you very much, and I do hope that you enjoy your day. But I do think that, you know, we cannot negate, we cannot, you know, disregard our history, and for some people, the remnants of slavery and everything else, it is there. And I cannot put myself in the shoes of somebody with a lighter complexion, or, you know, what the Prime Minister has had to, you know, live through. And perhaps, you know, when some things are easier, let's not pretend that the accent and, you know, the complexion for some people will get him in the door. Let's not even talk about the last name. Has made things a lot easier, if we're going to be quite honest. Let's take another call. Good morning.
Hello, Tresha, morning.
Good morning, sir.
Saudi.
Malai, Nachibi, Saudi.
Oui, la Malaka Chibi. Mon côté toi là au café ça, au café un bon travail.
Merci.
Oui, au café mon oui aussi. Mani au parler pas toi délai. Au parler quoi?
No, but you doesn't call me again. You used to give me some good lessons. You didn't want to come by. Après ça pas couiller pièce.
Après c'est moi pas couiller. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Vous dites bah là, qu'est-ce que vous dites là?
Moi du pas couiller souvent.
Oui, ça oui. Mais anyway, on try couiller plus souvent.
Okay.
Moi juste voulais couiller pour supporter ces bah là au Cadia, mais ça m'a really voulait faire au dia, c'est big up sister Emma Hippolyte, parce que il fait un bail ces gens couiller là par un drive, il mettait un fac d'or là bail c'est pêché pour aller pêcher about 5 liers d'or, il mettait un fac yourself là bail c'est pêché aussi. Sister hypothèque à bail ces femmes self font ce Jacques c'est passé. So moi just voulais dire aussi lever il l'argent bail ces jeunes hommes souffrir qui pas une pièce de travail et tout ça a marché bien. Moi just voulais des gens souffrir mais ou a un rep il peut même électeur il a fait toutes ces bail sans les honnête foi. So moi just voulais dire bravo sister Hippo entièrement tout bail qui marché nous qui voyer en parlement pour représenter nous souffrir. Moi just voulais dire bonne journée pour aussi Trish. Vous te voulez demander ma question hier? Quelle question tu voulais demander moi hier?
Moi j'ai oublié. I'll remember another time. But thank you very much, caller.
Yeah, all right.
All right. Thank you and enjoy your day.
Yeah.
I did hear hear of the fund that's been given to the fishing community in Soufrière, and we'll explore that, but I do think it will assist people in more than just, you know, one day thing. And I remember too the Prime Minister talking about you don't give people a fish, you teach them how to fish. Madness. But you know, these things, I think the way it might affect people in a real way, I think that is important, and that's what you want from you know, a candidate. That's what you need from people who are vying to represent you, and not this madness that Belrose has been speaking about there. If you vote for the people, and if you vote for the incumbent party, then what do you expect to get? You made your decision already. When people, voters, you know, they're taxpayers, the same money, the same flub, or the same labor, Nepot Moon, if you're voting, and even if you're not taxed, there are tax money going into it, and your tax dollars, they're saying they have to nitpick who they're giving what? Sakwa Disque Emma, Belrose. Sakwa Disque Belrose. And then you have a Prime Minister who, again, like the like Dr. Anthony said, lacks the moral courage. I wouldn't even have to say moral, I wouldn't put the word moral in it, Dr. Anthony. And I also think, you know, that, you know, when Ernest Hilaire said that you cannot trust his word, trust the word of the Prime Minister, you cannot trust his intention. I mean, you're absolutely right, but you can also say that, you know, you can trust that you cannot trust them. There's always an ulterior motive with these things, and it's more confusing than anything else. But I think even now, I think it's very important that we see what the other United Workers' Party executive members, like the chairman of the UWP, what they thought of Belrose's statement. Let's take a look at that.
Shares a different philosophy.
Senator Belrose, I mean, is her own individual. She made the statement. This is not the position of the party. And like I said, as chairman, I obviously advocate to change that if there's any idea that this is the way we are going. I think we all are St. Lucian. I love all St. Lucians, and everybody should be eating from the same plate, you know. So I will push, I can trust me on this one, to make sure we look after every single part of St. Lucia when he returned to office.
Belrose contends that the sitting MP should be the one to make a case for constituents.
Now, when you listen to the chairman of the United Workers' Party, you know, he's trying to distance himself from Belrose and that statement and the Belrose doctrine. But you have the Prime Minister standing firmly with, you know, Belrose to say, yeah, well, she said what she said and I'm standing next to her. So what is it should we believe? Should we believe what Pinkley is trying to make us believe, that this is not the way the United Workers' Party has, you know, they've done in the past 4 years, victimizing opposition parliamentarians? We've heard Philip J. Pierre, we've heard Dr. Kenny Anthony, we've heard Ernest Hilaire, we've heard Musa, we've heard Alva, and all these people have come out to say that they have not been able to assist people in their community in the way that they want to, in the way that they should. And you think back to even Viewfort North, where Vincent London has the authority to give out contracts and to give out funds to people in the constituency. On what basis? And these are the things that, if left unchecked, and you know, if we just take it as that's the way things are, it will be a real serious problem. And I think too, with our first caller, we need to have the conversation. And like I said, I think it's a toss-up between Norbas and what's his name, Ring the Bell, on who is the most pleasant in the things that they do to make sure that they make the master happy. So, but you know, to go into the violence, and I remember Ring the Bells the first time we met, he said, "Okay, Tresha, okay, Tresha, Tresha Lionel." Let's take the call. And you know what? I think all of this, much of it is funny, but much of it, I think, it's really sad that that is what we're having to deal with in this society in this day. Let's take the call. Good morning. Hello?
Good morning, Miss Tresha.
Good
morning, Miss Tresha. How are you?
I'm okay, sir. How are you?
I did not too bad holding on.
All right.
I did on a lockdown.
You did on a lockdown?
Yeah, lockdown.
Okay.
Yeah, let me tell you, I don't even know where to start. I believe, I listened to Hilaire giving the 10 tales of lies and deceit. And treacherous behavior of Alan Shasna and the government, and by extension his cohorts, those on boards, etc. What I'm saying is, when I look at people, like listen to Alan Shasna, especially during the budget, you see, when you have a Rajijit, and you have to stay by the toilet bowl.
Yeah.
That's how I consider Alan Shasna address as a Rajijit.
Oh my God, caller, that is a yeah, I can see that. I can see
now,
that.
the other one is,
I can hear the word too.
You see, when you put a rubber by electrical in your kitchen or wherever it is, and you have that rubber mat for how long? Yeah. You see when you take out the rubber, you find in marks of the rubber on it. You know what that entails? What it entails is that it's just telling you that all the problems, all the things these fellas have done, the corruption and everything. So they believe all the corruption they did, they'll set up free. But they're not realizing the mark you have seen after you take out the rubber, that means the trace they have left behind to see that they themselves will be crucified by the courts or whichever it is. I don't know. But I'm taking the opportunity again to tell Mr. Philip J. Pierre, St. Lucians won't mind you won't do much for the 5 years. But one thing St. Lucians would always expect to see and hear, that he take action. Action beyond board, beyond whatever it is. Because there are laws from England which coincide with St. Lucia. There is a law they themselves passed. I want to say further.
Okay.
If those who are listening to me heard me, can tell Mr. Philip J. Pierre, There's so many reasons why, so many things he can do when he comes into power to make sure people on boards, people on city council, people, all those on boards, people like direct of water, all these kind of things. There are ways and means you can make sure these fellows face the cost. Because I don't want to, they must go. That's not the point. Yes, they have to go. But at the end of the day, they have to face the cost. Now, the other one, last one I'm going to say to you.
Very quickly, caller, because we have on hold.
Fast, very fast, very fast. No, just very fast.
Very fast.
I'm calling on people on dairy soap. All right? Mikud South. You all know what's going on in Mikud North. Follow the trend. Don't make yourselves a fool. You all voted for Alan Chasney because Asim James was there. Now he's gone. They have taken advantage over his nephew. That's why his nephew had to resign, because they wanted him to do dirty work for them. So I'm calling you on Mikud South. Follow the trend, because you all have voted Labour before, and at the end of the day, you all have to continue from the last time you all voted Labour. You all have to continue on that trend, because a lot of people, both in St. Lucia and out of St. Lucia, will be monitoring these two constituencies.
Caller, I have to stop you there and say thank you very much. I appreciate your contribution.
All right.
All right. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. Let's take that last call very, very quickly. Good morning. Okay, we seem to have lost that call. Well, okay, I guess that's it. I want to thank all of you for participating, for calling, for commenting, for listening, for watching. Okay. I am being told that we have someone who insists on being the last caller. So very, very, very quickly, last call. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Miss Tresha.
Usha say. Okay, let's go. You are our last caller.
Tresha, what do you want to say? Tresha, I was the one who called on the Upper Stock show. Right? I hope you heard me.
Yeah, I am.
All right. I was the one who called on the Upper Stock show in the ghetto, and seeing who was Alan Chasney from Saint. He won an election in 2016. In June, I know it was before February, I saw the man colors. You understand, Tresha?
In 7 months, you
Tresha,
saw it?
I was the one who called for Monipo. And I mentioned my name, Edmund Maffrey, better known as Pentius Mangjam. This UWP presently now have a set of Columbus guys. They are eaters, rippers to society, and not helpful, and foolers to society. I hope you hear me, Tresha.
I am hearing you. I am hearing you, sir.
Hello?
I am hearing you, yes.
Okay, Tresha, when you look at Guy Joseph as a boastful parliamentarian for over the past 3 terms, that is 12 years, and you have boasted what you have done for Bexor sidewalks, imagine we are in a key point when accidents happen in the Castries vicinity. You have to call an ambulance from Castries or Dennery to assist in an accident. Why Guy Joseph have not made provisions on a piece of soil to put a proper police station and fire station for this community? And he is boastful. Now, I've already told you, the UWP administration right now have 2 prime ministers, Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney.
We agree on that.
No, they have two things. And you heard when I spoke, you got an airport being built from the PPP for 12 or 15 years, where your airport would have been built and you borrowed $440 million in a country that doesn't have any resources. Nothing to hold themselves.
Caller, I agree with you completely.
No, but that is, you see, Guy, Alan Chasney could hear me right now and could put me in jail today. He's the most jackass prime minister we have ever had. And his father is the biggest ass.
Thank you, caller.
For true. And I'm telling you that open-heartedly. And he could bring me down, not your station.
There are people who agree
because
with
you have victimized institutions. And we have to stand up for institutions and say who we are. We are too coward in this country.
Thank you very much, caller.
No problem.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That's our final call. As always, the sincerity, the honesty is what we look for. And yay, you feel what you're feeling, say it how you feel, I guess. But I don't like, the Prime Minister calls people jackasses. And, I don't know whether that gives people leeway to call him that as well and relate right back on you. That's, again, that sort of thing where it's a slippery slope of disrespect that we're seeing, tit for tat sort of thing. Again, these are for the discussions that we can have, but we cannot right now because we're ending, and I want to thank all of you as we go on into the weekend. I want you guys to be safe, and I hope to see you same time on Monday when we begin, and we'll continue to have these discussions with honesty as always and sincerity. And please, please, please be safe, and I'll see you on Monday. Take care.
I can't stay.